There are stories, and then there are the ones whispered to protect you, tales told low by the fire, not to entertain, but to keep you from the hills. The Preseli Hills, ancient, wind-bitten, and watching. Their stone-strewn slopes have stood since before Stonehenge, and some say the same hands raised both. In Pembrokeshire, these hills hold their secrets tight. They do not forgive trespass, and they do not forget. They belong to something older than roads, older than prayer, older than us. They call them the Tylwyth Teg, the fair folk. But the name is a kindness, because what stirs in the Preseli Hills is not kind. But these aren't just old wives' tales told to frighten children. There are names, dates, witnesses, people who vanished, and people who came back. Wrong. In the summer of 1864, a shepherd named Ioan Griffith vanished on the high slopes of the Preseli Hills. He left at dawn, as he always did. Just a man, a dog, and the wide, quiet land. His flock was scattered across the ridges, waiting. The sky was clear. The wind didn't move. He never came back. His dog was found the next morning, pacing a perfect circle near a cluster of ancient standing stones. His flock had scattered to the winds. The bracken nearby was pressed flat, spiraled in tight loops, as if something had moved through it, slowly, deliberately. They searched for 5 days, and on the 6th morning, Ioan walked back into the village, barefoot, soaked with dew, his expression distant, like someone waking from a dream he hadn't quite finished. He didn't understand the fuss. As far as he knew, he'd been gone less than an hour. He remembered the music, harp notes drifting through stone, delicate and aching. It seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. He followed it, walked between 2 standing slabs where the air grew thick and strangely warm. And then, nothing, just the cold sting of morning dew. But his beard had grown in, his hair was streaked with gray, and behind his eyes, something was gone, something that hadn't come back with him. The folklorist Elias Owen visited him not long after. He wrote,
"The man speaks like one who left the world and returned through some narrow slit. He stares into corners when you question him, as if afraid the answers might be listening."
From that day on, Ioan refused to walk the hills alone. He wouldn't listen to music, no harp, no fiddle, not even bird song, and some said he never truly came back. There were nights when villagers saw him standing by the edge of the field, eyes fixed on the distant hills, not fearful, just waiting, like part of him was still out there, or something out there was still watching. Disappearances, changelings, lost time. The stories run like veins beneath Pembrokeshire's quiet soil, old blood, never fully drained. In the early 1800s, a woman named Mary Evans gave birth to a boy in Fishguard, but she swore it wasn't her child. He had her son's face, but not his breath. Too quiet, too still, eyes that didn't blink enough, eyes that looked right through her. She believed he was a changeling, one of theirs, left behind like a cruel joke, while her real child was taken into the hills. She hung iron scissors over the cradle, left salt on the doorstep, refused to feed the thing unless it cried like a human. And finally, one bitter morning, she walked into the woods and laid the child beneath a hawthorn tree. She begged the fair folk to return her son, promised not to look, promised not to speak, then turned her back and walked away. When she returned home, the cradle was empty. The thing she'd left behind was gone. So was her child. No one ever saw either again. 3 years later, Mary Evans died in the workhouse. Some say of starvation, Some say of heartbreak. Others say she made the wrong bargain, and they came back for her. She wasn't the first to be punished for disturbing their order, and she wasn't the last. Some stories don't begin with a cry in the cradle, but with the scrape of a spade against something that shouldn't have been found. In 1798, during graveyard works at St. David's Cathedral, a group of men digging near the edge of the grounds uncovered something strange. A coffin, no bigger than a loaf of bread, carved from dark wood, no markings, no name. Inside, a single braid of golden hair, coiled like a sleeping thing, bound at both ends with silver thread. The rector recorded it in the parish ledger, but he didn't call it a coffin. He wrote only, an object of uncertain origin. It was buried again that same afternoon. No blessing, no ceremony. The men who found it never spoke of it again. But their tools rusted, milk in their kitchens soured, and for weeks, the ground in that corner of the churchyard felt soft underfoot. Some believed it had been a child's grave, others something else entirely. Not a burial, a warning. In Pembrokeshire, the land does not take kindly to being opened before it's ready. And if you think the old ways are dead, listen closely. They haven't gone. They've just grown quieter. In 2009, a woman pitched her tent near Foyle Drugarn, a quiet spot, remote. She'd parked just off the track, a little below the Iron Age hill fort. That night, something woke her. Laughter, not loud, not close, but wrong. Thin and breathless, like it was being held in someone else's throat. She unzipped the tent and looked out. Nothing. No wind, no birds, just a silence that didn't feel empty. It felt crowded. Her watch had stopped. Her phone was dead. She waited for dawn, never slept again. The next morning, she packed in silence. But when she reached her car, she froze. Tiny handprints all across the windows, none larger than a child's. Too many to count. On the glass, on the paint, even across the roof. She left Pembrokeshire that day, and she never came back. The fair folk haven't gone. They've just learned to stay quiet. They still move beneath the surface. In the corners of fields, the shadows of hills, the silence between footsteps, watching, waiting, and sometimes reaching. So if you ever hear laughter in the dark, or music rising from the stones, if your child no longer looks quite like themselves, or the ground in your garden feels softer than it should, leave. Don't follow it. Don't dig. And whatever you do, don't look back.